Is it time to double up on the Nottingham Forest defence? After what they did last season and the fixes they've got, I think it could be. And how about two mid-price forwards that are under 6% owned? Welcome back to another video, and I hope you guys are enjoying your scouting and your pre-season tinkering. I am, and this is my updated team selection video. It's been a week since my last one of these, and I feel like every day you're making small tweaks, but when I make significant changes, I want to update you guys. So if you do want to show support for the video, I'd love you to like and subscribe and comment below, but I've got a real good one for you in store today. So first of all, the best exercise for me to do is to run through every player I've removed from the last draft that I showed you. Okay, so let's kick off with removing some players. We'll grade them out and then we'll put new players in. I've got some data as well to back up my reasoning. So straight away in goal, I wasn't happy with a 5 and a 4.5. Unfortunately, I think we've now got a 4 million playing goalkeeper, and if we do, then Jose Sarr can come out of this team. Saves me 0.5. O'Brien, I've not been happy with Everton's pre-season form, and I feel like with the move to the new stadium and Branthwaite and Tarkowski having been injured for a lot of the summer, I feel like maybe Everton clean sheets aren't as nailed as I thought they were going to be. De Kuiper for Brighton, he's looked good pre-season, but Brighton in build-up, in possession, when they last played their last friendly, De Kuiper was really deep and formed part of a back three in possession. The right back, who was Max Wiefer, inverted into midfield, but De Kuiper wasn't as advanced as I had hoped, so he comes out too. Salah, Wirtz and Palmer has been like the mainstay and the structure of my team, and we're going to talk about structure in a minute. Rodgers, he's going to come out with a very heavy heart. Don't you worry, I'm still covering that Villa attack in a good way. It was either Rodgers or Watkins, and I think we might be on the other. Adingra's going to come down. I'm getting more money out this midfield. Midfielder 4 and 5 can be 5 and 5.5 million. I think that's the structure I want to go with. So Solanke also comes out. His fitness has been a problem. He needs to play 90 minutes versus Burnley to justify the pick. That's why we're all picking him, right? It's that game week 1 fixture. I'm not sure we're going to get 90 minutes from Solanke. He hasn't featured yet pre-season. And then Igor Thiago is also going to get an upgrade as well. So look, there are the players coming out. Before we see the players coming in though, let's talk a little bit about team structure. And that's where I'm at with this draft. And I'm really happy. Yes, there's been changes in the team, but there's also a commitment here, I think, of my structure. Salah, Wirtz, Palmer have formed the basis of that structure in midfield. It then gives me a 5 and a 5.5 asset, but also I want to commit more funds up top. I want that 9 million price point covered in attack, because if you have a Watkins, you can easily get to a Gyökeres, and I think that's going to be really important. So we're moving a little bit of money out the midfield to the front line and also upgrading our defence a little bit. And I think a little bit more money in my defence is worth it, because I think we're probably all sleeping on defensive contribution points. This is a new metric that we're not used to, and we're still thinking of goals and assists. And yes, we should, but especially for defenders, we need to clock on to the fact that these defensive contribution points are going to be massive. They're going to change the way we pick our players. We all celebrate an assist, don't we? Well, what if your midfielder gets defensive contribution and keeps a clean sheet? That's 3 points. We need to celebrate that in our heads in the same way, and I'm not sure that we're there yet. So the team you're about to see has got a lot more defensive contribution magnets in it as I try and adapt, because I think it's taken me a few weeks to get my head around that. In terms of bench boost, my big question here is not do you want a bench boost game week 1, yes or no? Get that question out your head. It's do you want a bench boost in the first 5 game weeks before you wildcard? Is that a yes or a no? And if that's a yes, produce the best team for the first 5 weeks or 10 weeks, and then look at what patterns you have and when's best to bench boost. Don't produce a game week 1 team that's perfect for bench boost. It's not a free hit. It's got to last. I'm seeing that a lot. For me, the team we're about to see works for game week 3. It might be that I make lots of changes to this and it works for game week 4 or game week 2. But at the moment, my plan is bench boost game week 3 with the team we're about to see. So I'm keen to show you the guys that are coming into the team. But we have to give a shout out today to our sponsor that I've been working with for couple of seasons now, OneFootball. They are the GOAT of football apps. I genuinely believe this. Like, if you want football news, whether it's European or Premier League, if you want to see goals from the Premier League highlights and just catch the glimpses, if you want to see press conference quotes or fixtures or data or results, it's all there on the OneFootball app. It should live on your home screen as it does on mine. I know most of you are going, Gianni, I downloaded this ages ago. You told me about it a year ago or 6 months ago. But if you haven't already, scan the QR code, click the link in the description. It's, of course, a free football app. I genuinely think it's the best one out there, and I've been working with them for a reason for so long. So give it a go if you fancy. So look, that's one football. We want to talk defenders and midfielders and forwards, but let's start dropping some players in, shall we? And let's start at the back, in goal. I mentioned a 4 million playing goalkeeper. Dubravka, very likely to end up at Burnley, and if he does, he should be first choice. They've lost Trafford. They want Premier League experience. They probably want someone that can come in for a season. Dubravka could be that guy. If we get a 4 million playing Dubravka, straight away, we're all going to have him. We're all going to have him because we just want him for bench boost, which again is part of the reason why bench boost game week 3 works quite nicely. Dubravka goes to Leeds. It might work for the rest of your squad. I think Dubravka, if he comes in, is going to be completely part of the template. Sanchez still for me is the number one I know I want to go in with. I want to cover Chelsea defensively. They're one of the best defences from last season. And when we look at the defending from last season, we can see Chelsea conceded only the third amount of goals. Like only Liverpool and Arsenal conceded fewer goals than Chelsea. Third fewest amount of goals, Chelsea. 43 versus Liverpool's 41. Chelsea weren't bad for XG conceded, got a bit unlucky with clean sheets, just the 11. But they're a top defence. PSG couldn't score against Chelsea in the Club World Cup. They're a good defence, and I think I want to cover them. I feel like Cucurella's great, but Sanchez saves you money. But I also want to draw our attention to Nottingham Forest, just below Chelsea in my chart here. And all this scout data is from Fantasy Football Scout. But Forest did keep more clean sheets than anyone other than Liverpool. Forest were brilliant for clean sheets. But they did goals conceded, they were the 6th best, and XG conceded the 9th best. They didn't finish as a top 2, top 3 defence last season, but they did start the season as a top 2, top 3 defence. In fact, if you look at just the first half of the season, the first 19 game weeks, Forest were a top 2 defence. They were elite, and I think they can start the season in the same way because the fixtures are there. They've had they clearly looked tired last year, and they were clearly getting squeaky bum time over European places and stuff. I think they'll start this season in the same way, and if they do, I think I want double Forest defence. So look, let's have a look at my team. Munoz is staying in this team. I'm so happy with Daniel Munoz. I know I don't have a 6 million defender. I think Munoz could be just as good. Here, he's in for goals and assists. I don't care about Palace's tough games. I think he can score in any game, and I think he's going to be a huge goal threat. And I think this is going to be a massive season for Daniel Munoz. He's one of my favourite players to watch in the Premier League. But O'Brien comes out for an upgrade. We're not going to spend 5 million here. We're going to put more money into the back line. Murillo comes in for me, and Murillo is the standout Forest player when we're talking about bonus points and when we're talking about defensive contribution points. Yes, Nikola Milenkovic, slightly higher ceiling, more goals. Got 4 or 5 goals last year. Murillo got 2. But Murillo has the higher floor. And what I mean by that is he's more likely to pick up defensive contribution. He picks them up on average in like 55% of his games, right? He's a beast for defensive contributions. And he's a beast for bonus points. So straight away, Murillo feels like the longer term better pick, but they're both great picks. Williams is alongside him. I can't afford to go both 5.5 million Forest defenders. Williams is the next best thing, and he's a stronger pick, I think, than Aina. I'm very happy with Williams. He wins out on Aina on every metric, both attacking and defensive, and of course costs the same price. Now, when we look at the 4.5 defenders, this is causing a lot of managers headaches, right? There's a few obvious, and there's more than this graphic shows. I like Agbadu, I like Senesi, but here we can see Wan-Bissaka, the highest owned 4.5 in the game. De Kuyper was in this draft last week. Gahey, I think, because maybe a move is happening there. I don't know if I love as much, but of course he's cheap for what you get. But I think it's Van der Ven I really want. And my thoughts on Van der Ven have gone up in terms of Spurs and clean sheets with the signing of Paulinho. Can't stress enough how Paulinho coming into that midfield at Spurs is going to mean more clean sheets for the team. Van der Ven at 4.5. Yes, you've got to spend more to get a Porro, 5.5 Spurs right back, or you've got to spend 5 to get Romero. Van der Ven might not be as good as those guys, but he saves you $1 million or he saves you 0.5 million. Van der Ven will be first choice. He's in this team. Esteve is still the best of the bunch of the 4 million lot. So I think that's my defence. Like, yes, of course, there'll probably be changes, but as I look at it now, I feel fairly settled, certainly on the structure. I like the comfort blanket of those Nottingham Forest fixtures as well. Like, I really do think Forest, especially in their home games, like, clean sheets are there for them. Clean sheets are absolutely there for them. And look, even like game week 3 versus West Ham, game week 5 is Burnley, game week 6 is Sunderland. They've got some good fixtures. They really do. Let's move away then from defenders and talk about some of the more fun attacking positions here. By the way, guys, if you do want to join my mini league, check it out. There's the letters and numbers all on screen. And of course, check out stuff like members area. And obviously, look, if you're subscribing to the channel, you're going to get pretty much daily content between now and the start of the season. And I have got some interviews with some of the world's best managers and their team reveals, their locked team reveals, coming in the next few days and in the next week. So make sure you're subscribing with a notification bell for all of that jazz. Midfielders. Salah vs Palmer, I'm locked. There's a fair few that have Salah and Palmer. They're both part of the template. Florian Wirtz is on the edge of the template. At 8.5 million, he's just an absolute steal. He is taking corners and all set pieces at Liverpool. Remember that. We've seen it pre-season. He's on all set pieces. There's no Trent there now, so who's taking all the set? And then Robbo's often not on the pitch because Kirkes. Wirtz is taking all the set pieces. He's going to get a lot of assists just from set pieces alone. He's playing in the number 10, just behind the front man. He's going to be an awesome asset at 8.5. I think Wirtz could become a bit of a cheat code. I know he doesn't have penalties, but 8.5, they've priced him too low. I need to get a little bit of money out this midfield. Rodgers is great, but I think at 5 and 5.5, there's just so many good options. So before we see who I've gone with, let me show you the best 5.5 and the best 5 million options. So the 5.5 million options, so these are 4 that I've picked out. I like them all very much, and I could end up on any of them. Reinders is a great pick. I think he's being completely underlooked, and he covers you for Man City. In the Club World Cup, he started 3 of the 4 games. He's going to get goals. He's going to get some defensive contribution points and assists as well. At 5.5, I think he's a great value. The fear is always with Pep. We just don't quite know if he's nailed. Adingra's going to get goals, but how many will Sunderland score? Arias scored an amazing goal, John Arias, the Colombian for Wolves in the last pre-season friendly. He only got half an hour, but it looked great. I expect him to be a starter. But the number 1 pick here, I think, is Elliot Anderson. Right? I think it probably has to be Elliot Anderson. So let's just drop Elliot Anderson into that team and explain why. This is a proper FPL community pick. Sometimes you get picks that the world and their dog can see for what they are. And then there's sometimes picks where it's just within the FPL community people go, yeah, now I get it. And they've looked, every content creator out there, they've looked at Elliot Anderson's defensive contribution points and gone, whoa, this guy's good. He averages like 13 something per game. You need 12 to get the bonus. So in over half his games, not quite 2/3, but close. It's like 60% of his games almost, I think it is. He's getting the DEFCON points. He picks up DEFCON points better than pretty much any other midfielder. And he takes a lot of the set pieces at Nottingham Forest. So he's going to get assists for the likes of Milenkovic and Murillo when they're sticking their head on corners. There's a lot to like. Yeah, you'll get some yellow cards, but you'll also get some clean sheet points. Anderson, for me, has become a bit of a no-brainer in this team. I feel like he's in. I feel like this is going to be one that's almost locked for me now. The more and more I look at it, I'm trying to get more DEFCON points into this team. Murillo has helped me do that. Van der Ven maybe has helped me do that a little bit. Again, I've taken out a fullback for Van der Ven. And then by taking out a Rodgers to an Anderson, Rodgers wouldn't have got DEFCON at all last season. He would have got 0 defensive contribution points. Elliot Anderson would have had over 20, like I think almost 30. So yeah, for me, definitely one I want in this team. And then again, someone that I think will probably get them, but it's hard to tell because he's a new player in a team, but he's a 5 million option. Well, let's have a look at those 5 million options, shall we? So look, there's a few, and these are all defense. 3 of them are DEFCON players potentially, right? Baleba we know is, and Christie we know is. These guys, again, just like Elliot Anderson, they average defensive contribution points in the majority of their games. So Christie's average DEFCON is 15 per 90. Baleba's is 14 per 90. Not bad, that, is it? Not bad. By the way, Anderson's is 14.9, right? You need 12 to break this. So, yeah, I like these guys very much for DEFCON. Like, more often than not, it's a free 2 points for a 5 million player. Like, I want this price point covered. I'm pretty much committed on that. Now, Will Xhaka get DEFCON? I'm not so sure, but he will take some of the set pieces at Sunderland, so he comes with that added bonus. Christie is injured, by the way, at Bournemouth. We need to know more about his fitness and if he's ready for game week 1. Balaber's fit but doesn't take set pieces. Xhaka has some upside. Dewsbury Hall is 5 million. Won't do that well in DEFCON, but does give you goals and assists. Will he be a starter though? Perhaps a risky pick, Dewsbury Hall. The safer bet here is going Balaber. But I'm going to put Xhaka in just because I was impressed so much with his debut. He wore the armband, he took set pieces, and I think he'll do all right for DEFCON as well. I also, of course, like the Sunderland fixtures. It could be Balaber, could be Christie if he's fit, but at the moment, I'm going to drop the Xhaka into this team. So look, this is my 5-man midfield. Am I set on my 5th midfielder? You can hear as I talk about it. I'm not. I think I'm set on Elliot Anderson, and I know I'm set on Salah, Wirtz, Palmer. Guys, the midfield is pretty much locked. I'm delighted to be able to hopefully do that. We got to talk about the forwards, though. Yeah. Guys, thanks, by the way. I know I'm blabbering on a bit today. Like, this is a slightly longer video than normal, but hopefully you enjoy it. If you do, drop any feedback you've got in the comments. I really welcome all your support, as always. The front line's changing. Strand Larsen's staying. We'll just talk about Strand Larsen, right? I think he's a proper baller that's not going to be at Wolves very long. He got 14 goals last year without pens. He's about to have penalties as well because Cunha's left. Strand Larsen's very likely going to take them. He did take one in a shootout and scored it. Stuck it top corner, I think, last year. I'm pretty sure Strand Larsen's on pens for Wolves. 6.5s, I think, is a steal, and I don't mind the Wolves fixtures. But I want to show you 2 graphics before I reveal which 2 I've gone for. Firstly, the goal threat. And then secondly, let's look at some individuals. So the teams that were great up front. Of course, if you want Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle strikers, you've got to spend a lot of money. Igor Thiago, I like of Brentford, but he came out because new manager might not be the same. Brighton, a good attacking team, and Danny Welbeck, a good 6.5 option. But Bournemouth are also there. Bournemouth were 5th for XG. They might have only scored the ninth amount of goals with 58, same as Villa. But they racked up the 5th best XG, Bournemouth. And straight away I'm like, should I be looking at a Bournemouth attacker? And I think there's an obvious Bournemouth attacker to pick here. So look, 5th for XG, and when we look at the individuals, there were 3 forwards that didn't have good seasons in front of goal in terms of they underperformed their expected. Haaland just about went under his expected. And we're talking about players like Isak and Visser and Watkins and Cunha and Mateta, Strand Larsen, they all overperformed their XG. Strand Larsen should have scored 10 goals, he scored 14. That's how good he was in attack. That's how good a finisher he is. Now, Haaland we know is a good finisher. Jackson we know is a bad finisher. Jackson also in red there. Jackson should have got 12, he got 10. Is Evan Nilsson a bad finisher? I don't know. We haven't seen enough of him, but Evan Nilsson criminally underperformed his XG by 2.5 goals last year. He did miss a penalty, which is 0.78 of that, and he could have penalties again this year if Kluivert goes or is out injured. He hasn't featured pre-season. Evan Nilsson's on my radar here as someone that people are sleeping on because his numbers aren't good, and I wonder if that will revert to the mean and he'll be back at average and he'll overperform again this season. So look, this is where we're at with forwards. There's a lot I like on this list. Mateta at 7.5 is being slept on. Welbeck at 6.5 is a really good pick. I like Strand Larsen, but there's 2 other guys on this list that are coming in. One's higher, one's lower. One overperformed, one underperformed. Let's drop them in. I've spoken about Bournemouth a bit. It's Evan Nilsson at the moment. Igor Thiago goes to Evan Nilsson. I've got the money to do so. Whether or not I'm set here, if I can find 0.5 and Solanke's fit, Solanke comes in. If I can find 0.5, it could be Mateta, but I think I'm happy with Evan Nilsson given the fixtures. I could bench him game week 1 for Liverpool away. Then it's good fixtures. Liverpool away is a dreadful fixture. You bench your Bournemouth asset. Game week 2 onwards, they're good. And then Solanke. If he comes out and he's not fit, the guy I know I want, regardless of Solanke's fitness, I'm pretty set on this template. It's Salah, Wirtz, Palmer, and my other formium, it's Ollie Watkins, and it's a 9 million price point here, guys. This allows me to get to Gyökeres when Arsenal's fixtures turn in game week 7 or whenever it is. Everyone's going to want Arsenal attackers and Gyökeres could be flying. If you have a 9 million forward in Ollie Watkins, firstly, he should have got you loads of points. But secondly, it's an easy transfer to get to Gyökeres. If you have to get to Haaland, it's an easier transfer to get to Haaland than your 7.5 forward. put a little bit more money in your attack with a backup plan of getting to Haaland or getting to Gyökeres. And Watkins does that. I also love his fixtures. I love his pre-season form. As long as there's no rumours linking him with Man United, I'm fine with Ollie Watkins. And that's the only reason I took him out my draft a week ago. I was worried about the move. It looks like that's unlikely to happen, and Watkins is in this team. Guys, I will be locking in early next week, so I will be revealing my close to lock team on Monday, and then I'm going to lock my team in on Thursday. I'm not willing to go into that deadline on Friday going, I don't know what I'm doing, watch my deadline stream for my final decisions. That's not me. I won't be doing that. So stay tuned, and you'll see my team pretty locked at the start of next week and locked on Thursday. Guys, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for hitting the like, subscribe button, and I'll see you again in 24 hours for another video.